Welcome to This Explainer. Look, have you ever found yourself wondering why some people work themselves to the absolute bone day in and day out, yet they never actually seem to get ahead? Meanwhile, you see others who appear to work way less, but their wealth just keeps multiplying? Well, today we're going to dismantle that old ingrained belief that sweat automatically equals success. We are digging into some really fascinating source material that completely rethinks our relationship with work, time, and money to uncover the modern roadmap to financial independence. So here is the structured roadmap that will help transition us out of that exhausting rat race and into the strategic world of asset building. We'll quickly cover 6 key areas: the lie of hard work, the true wealth mindset, assets versus linear income, the art of multiplying time, the power of leverage, and finally, the laws of cash flow. Let's get into it. Section 1, the lie of hard work, why the old rules no longer apply. We really need to start by unpacking a generational lie, which is this idea that the only way to earn more is to physically work more. We've all grown up hearing things like, work hard and you'll succeed, right? But we have experienced a massive paradigm shift. Back in the agricultural and industrial ages, the equation was perfectly linear. A farmer who planted more earned more. A blacksmith who hammered longer produced more. Simple math. But we've shifted into the information age. Today, your value is no longer measured by the physical sweat on your brow. It's measured by your ability to think, innovate, and use your time strategically. The crazy thing is, so many of us are still operating on that completely outdated factory-era programming. To put that into perspective, the source material shares the really poignant story of Miguel. It's the ultimate tragedy of linear loyalty. Miguel was your model employee, never late, never absent, always raising his hand for overtime. He gave 35 years of unparalleled loyalty to a textile factory. But when the company faced a crisis, he was laid off. Just like that. He left at age 53 with no modern skills, zero savings, and a body totally worn down by repetitive manual labor. Miguel didn't fail because he was lazy. Not at all. He failed because he put his blind trust in a system that was literally never designed to give him long-term freedom or ownership. Moving on to Section 2, the true wealth mindset. Reprogramming how we view value. True wealth, guys, it begins in the mind, not in your bank account. The wealthy honestly just do not think like everyone else. It's not just about having more cash. They view the entire world through a totally different lens. It's all about long-term return on investment. When average folks are presented with an opportunity, like, say, a $1,000 course or a new investment, their immediate reaction is, uh-oh, what will I lose? But that wealthy mindset, it asks, what is the return I'm going to gain? They treat money as a tool. It's like a farmer with seeds. You don't hide your seeds in a dark room to keep them safe, right? You plant them in the dirt so you can harvest a massive multiplied return. Which brings us to a really fun concept from the source called productive laziness. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't mean lying in a hammock, binge-watching TV all day. Actually, scratch that. It's the exact opposite of doing nothing. It means deploying extreme strategic intelligence to build self-sustaining systems up front. It's the whole idea of the lazy millionaire. You work incredibly smart at the beginning to design mechanisms and tools that generate value without needing your continuous physical input. Think of it like taking the time to build an automated irrigation system instead of dragging a bucket around to water every single plant by hand every single day. All right, Section 3, assets versus linear income, building the wealth machine. This is the absolute core pivot of our explainer today, the critical difference between working for money and having your assets work for you. The source gives us this fantastic analogy. Think of linear income like you physically rowing a boat. If you stop rowing, the boat stops moving. That's your standard salary. Sure, it's safe in the short term, but it is fundamentally capped by your physical energy and the 24 hours in a day. Asset income, on the flip side, is taking the time to build and raise a sail. Once that sail is up, the wind, which represents your system, does the heavy lifting for you. You get to move way faster and with significantly less physical effort. So, what are these sales? Well, there are 4 main pillars of asset-based income that can free you from trading your time for a paycheck. First up, financial assets, like stocks or bonds where your money is out there literally working for you. Second, intellectual assets. Think of an author who writes a book once or a coder who builds an app once, but they profit from every sale for years to come. Create once, profit forever. Third is real estate, giving you both monthly cash flow and long-term appreciation. And finally, automated systems. These are things like e-commerce businesses or subscription models that run on software and external logistics, meaning they need very minimal daily oversight from you. Section 4. The art of multiplying time. Escaping the limits of the 24-hour day. Since we physically cannot create a 25th hour in the day, we need to look at how the wealthy literally multiply the impact of the time they do have. If you want to play at a high level, you have got to stop trying to do absolutely everything yourself. You need to act more like an orchestra conductor rather than trying to frantically play every single instrument on the stage. You do this through delegation and automation. Delegation isn't running away from work. It's empowering humans to handle tasks requiring judgment, so your mind is free for high-level strategy. And automation? That is the ultimate gift of the modern age. When an e-commerce store automates its inventory and payments, a transaction can happen flawlessly at 3 a.m. while you're fast asleep, because technology doesn't get tired, and it doesn't make mistakes just because it needs a coffee break. This perfectly illustrates the Pareto principle, commonly known as the 80-20 rule. True productivity has absolutely nothing to do with being busy. It's all about focusing intensely on the 20% of strategic efforts that drive 80% of your results. If you spend your whole day answering routine emails, yeah, you're busy, but are you actually productive? By delegating or automating the 80% of those low-impact tasks, you reclaim your most valuable asset, your time, and you direct it solely at the things that actually move the needle. Section 5. The power of leverage, the ultimate force multiplier. This builds right on top of our lazy millionaire concept. Leverage is the incredible force that creates exponential rather than linear growth. You can think of leverage like a giant trampoline that just multiplies your effort. It allows you to utilize resources that you don't even personally own. The goal isn't to possess everything yourself, but to integrate it. You use OPT, other people's time, by hiring experts who can do a job in a day that would take you 6 months to learn. You use OPM, other people's money, like banks or investors, to fund growth that your own savings could never touch, as long as the return is higher than the cost of that capital. Add in other people's skills and global technology, and you have a recipe for an empire. A perfect example from our source is the legendary synergy behind Apple. It just goes to show you don't need to be the absolute best at everything if you know how to leverage complementary skills. Steve Jobs wasn't the greatest engineer, right? And Steve Wozniak certainly wasn't the greatest salesman. But by leveraging each other's unique strengths, they built a business that quite literally changed the world. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to know how to bring the smartest people together. Finally, we reach Section 6, the laws of cash flow. Protecting and growing the machine. Because look, making the money is really only half the battle. Keeping it and growing it, that's the real test. A really smart way to handle money flow is the classic 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your income covers your basic needs, rent, food, survival stuff. 30% is for your wants and your lifestyle. But that final 20%, that is your savings and investments. That is your non-negotiable wealth-building engine. The biggest mistake people make is waiting to see what happens to be left over at the end of the month to invest. No way. The wealthy pay themselves first. They invest that 20% immediately, and then they figure out how to live off the rest. Now, if you take away just one single thing from this explainer today, please let it be this rule. The source calls this escaping the early luxury trap. When you get a raise or a big bonus, the temptation to go out and buy a flashy car to show off your success is huge. But that car drops in value the literal second you drive it off the lot. Instead, if you invest that money into an asset and then use the profits from that asset to buy the car, you get to keep the golden goose while still enjoying the golden eggs. Buy your luxuries from your asset profits, never your active income. Because here's the reality. You absolutely cannot build a castle on quicksand. Trying to invest while you're carrying 20 or 30% interest on consumer debt is like trying to fill up a bucket that has a massive hole in the bottom. You have got to build a base first. Clear the bad debt, establish a 6 to 12-month emergency fund so you're never forced to sell your assets in a panic. Only then do you shift aggressively into the growth phase, acquiring assets and reinvesting those profits for massive compound returns. It's a journey, and you have to secure the foundation first. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a rather provocative question to challenge your daily routine. Look closely at your daily tasks. Are they actually inching you closer to a self-sustaining system, or are you just running faster and faster on someone else's treadmill? Remember, true wealth is not about having a mountain of cash. It's about having total, absolute control over your time and your life. Start shifting that mindset today. Take those first small steps toward building your own assets, and let the system start doing the heavy lifting for you. Are you building a system or just working in one? Let that sink in. Thanks for joining me today.